Crypto products are unregulated and could be highly volatile. Please be aware of the risks before investing.
राज, बाबूजी के आशीर्वाद से हमने अपनी नई शुरुआत तो कर ली, पर अपना फ्यूचर प्लान कैसे करें?
बड़े बड़े शहरों में ऐसी छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती हैं।
Looking for perfect start? Get a Bitcoin today. Download the UnoCoin app.
जब मैं तेरी उम्र का था ना, तो एक सक्सेसफुल करियर, लॉन्ग टर्म प्लानिंग सब रेडी करके रख चुका था। और एक इन महाराज को देखो, पूरा दिन फोन में लगा रहेगा।
दैट प्लानिंग तो मैंने भी कर रखी है, UnoCoin के साथ।
नए जमाने के साथ नई चीजें आजमाएं। Looking for Bitcoin? Download the UnoCoin app.
Guys, we really need to work hard. This wasn't a good quarter. Tell me, are you happy with this?
UnoCoin.
Want to earn Bitcoin? Just grab your phone and shake it. Download the UnoCoin app.
Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin.
Get a systematic buying plan from the UnoCoin app to get your Bitcoin today. Download the UnoCoin app.
Hello everyone and once again welcome back to UnoCoin's weekly live sessions and today हमें पता है कि आज मार्केट में बड़ी हलचल मची हुई है because Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high and we're gonna know a lot more about that. Let me first introduce our guest for today, Mr. Nihal. Nihal is here with us and Nihal has got a very extensive experience in the Bitcoin world. He knows things through and we are going to talk about some geopolitical concepts today and what is happening around. You know, what's the driver behind the new ATH. Hi Nihal, how are you doing today?
Hey Shambhavi, thank you for that introduction. And I'd like to, add to that कि मैं ठीक है, I've been in the space for a while now, but मेरे से भी कई दिग्गज लोग हैं in the industry who are much more knowledgeable than I am. I am a humble Bitcoiner who has started his journey quite recently. It's been a couple of years. So yeah, thank you for having me.
No, but anybody who's putting themselves out there talking about stuff is a very knowledgeable person in my understanding of Bitcoin, because people don't even understand what Bitcoin is. They don't think of it as a real money. They think of it as some, I don't know how to even define it in right terms, but then
Yeah.
knowing it itself is being a lot more ahead of time right now, as of now.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, that's our thing, right? Like we have meetups, we educate. I have my own channel, and along with Pavik, I do speak about and cover the macro issues which talk about Bitcoin and whatever is affecting the Bitcoin space. This year, this last few days have been extremely monumental because with the Trump's presidency and political things aside, however the candidate may be, whatever his stance for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general is something which needs to be appreciated and lauded because nobody else has, at least from the Democratic side, nobody was very vocal about Bitcoin specifically. There are a few things which I would like to point out. He is Donald Trump may be pro crypto. He's launched his own, if I may call it, poop coin. But yeah, he's got his WLFI token or something. But along with the endorsement of his private currencies, he also talks about Bitcoin in particular. He was recently at the NYC PubKey. It was a bar in New York, and there apparently he did a Bitcoin transaction, and that was lauded as the first Bitcoin transaction in the history by a president, U.S. president. But I mean, if you look at that video, we all know, okay, he actually did not press any buttons, he did not do anything. He was just there, and people helped him with it. But yeah, yeah,
So, Nihal, I've got tons of questions with regards to Trump because
awesome.
it
Thanks.
was majburi for me to be pro-Trump this elections. I'm not a big fan of Trump, but this was a majburi, these elections. But, before we get into that, let's get to know a little about you. What's your journey into the Bitcoin world? How did you become a Bitcoiner? Who orange pilled you? And how has it been going ever since?
Yeah, so my journey started almost 4 to 5 years, like the start of the last cycle, 2020, around 2020. One of my very close friends, orange pilled me. So the thing is, I had lost my job during the whole pandemic issue, and I had a lot of time on my hands for a couple of months. And that's when this friend contacted me, and we are good friends. So there has been a lot of information which he has shared over the years that has helped me. So I started reading, and that's when it hit me. My first article was by Vijay Boyapati, The Bullish Case for Bitcoin. That was a Medium article first, then it became a book. So that's something, if anyone wants to read it, please go ahead. That's something that I started my journey with. Post which, I watched a lot of podcasts and a lot of Bitcoiners who are very influential. And I discovered this whole thing called Bitcoin Twitter, and back then it was called Twitter, that's why. So, and there was this place in Clubhouse as well where a lot of Bitcoiners huddled, and you have a lot of discussions around the tech, the public policy aspect of it, the custody part of it. There have been a lot of things which were discussed over the years. So 2020, 2021 was mostly learning. Then I worked with Mr. Kashif Raza for a while, almost 1.5 years, and I had the pleasure of working with him. Uh, so for the most part, I was advocating for Bitcoin through his channels, and he gave me the opportunity to do so. So that's one of the things that I'm thankful for, because I wanted to contribute to the Bitcoin space in some way, but I did not know where to start. So yeah, I approached him, and that's when we got started. Post which, there were a couple of Bitcoiners that I did work with. Those were one-off projects, etc. And now I'm here. Yeah, I've recently started my own YouTube channel along with another fellow Bitcoiner. His name is Bhavik. So he encouraged me. Basically, I wanted to do this, but it's always like with your people and with your surroundings, you try to orange pill them. They don't listen to you. I mean, even after you show them the legit numbers for the past few years and stuff. But at the end of it, I grew frustrated and I did not know what to do. So Bhavik was like, please go ahead, start your own channel. And it made sense because, you have all this information within you and you want to share it with others. That's the only good medium, I'd say. And we are not encouraging in terms of price predictions or price, buying the coin as such or anything. We're just letting people know what are the impacts of the overall space on Bitcoin and how it is in turn affecting the world. So yeah, that's the brief journey.
That's a great job. I think lack of information and lack of financial literacy is what India struggles with, not just in terms of Bitcoin, but in terms of investing in general. So just the other day, Varun came on the show, and then he was talking about 1% in Bitcoin. How can it change the game for your portfolio? And it's such a struggle for me to even right now tell people about this 1% part, because they're like, it's too risky. I'm like, 1%. So you see, the knowledge part is the big struggle right now, and I think any country with regards to Bitcoin, maybe US is doing slightly better than what India and other countries are doing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, as of now, fortunately or unfortunately, India's stance has been very careful, and they have all the reasons to do so. No shade on them, but at the same time, these things need to be accounted for. Where you see the global hash rate, it's alarming to see that US, China, and Russia, these are the countries, and Kazakhstan, for that matter, they are leading in the global hash power rather than a country like India, which can do so much in terms of Bitcoin mining or encouraging, because we've got a lot of renewables. And I think Ayush was on the channel a couple of weeks ago, and I heard him talk about it as well extensively. And there are a lot of natural resources in India, and if we have this target of going green in terms of electricity, uh, to achieve that net green target by 2050, if I'm not wrong, we need to leverage Bitcoin and data centers. I mean, people understand the value of data centers, but they think Bitcoin is some alien scam. So tying up with together and talking about it in public is what I think will drive more hash power to come to India. Now, with the recent election, Trump has made numerous promises. I don't know how many of them will be fulfilled, but one of the promises were to make US the mining hub of Bitcoin. So that's something which we need to look at very carefully, and we need to observe, because I mean, we have this knowledge, we have this information, it's globally available for anyone to see. And I'm sure people from the government are looking at it, but they're looking at it any Amit. Yes, sorry, मेरी हिंदी उतनी ठीक नहीं है, but I'll try and mix both of them. So जितना भी है हमारे पास, you know we have all the information, and the government officials have all the information जो उन्हें चाहिए, and they need to look at it from a holistic sense, not only कि cryptocurrency is a scam, not only कि Bitcoin is a scam and stuff, because Bitcoin को, if you look at it in silos, people use the name of Bitcoin, and उसके बदौलत they do the scams.
Yeah.
Like, ये मेरा Bitcoin है, ये मेरा poop coin खरीद लो, ये मेरा meme coin खरीद लो. So this has been happening for n number of years now, and people fall for it, unfortunately, because people are greedy by default. Thankfully, it hasn't happened to me in this space particularly. I've been scammed before in other spaces, but is space mein, thankfully no, because that's what, when you learn and understand Bitcoin thoroughly, you tend to focus all your energies on it, and all the other currencies, ठीक है, अब जितना भी you want to argue with in terms of utility, etc. But at the end of the day, centralized systems have more better speed, traction, monitoring, everything, than having utility on the blockchain. Blockchain is an elaborated ledger, nothing more than that. So that's why I think Bitcoin is the only true cryptocurrency. Baki sub have their own limitations.
I agree. I agree 100%. And I like the fact how people are proud of picking up the technology from the original Bitcoin ecosystem, capitalizing on that, building things over it, but forgetting the fact that Bitcoin is the father and the god and the creator and all those things, from where they're picking up technologies like blockchain, which is in turn being used to create NFTs, to do more altcoining, to create same technology for different blockchains, tokens, and all those things. So I like the concept of where people also do not understand that there's no second Bitcoin. Like any other token coming in for a different blockchain cannot be Bitcoin. It is a token, it is like a stock of some Web3 company. So if you want to, if you like the project, if you think that, but don't ever fall for the marketing where it's like the new Bitcoin, or this is gonna be the Bitcoin of the season, or Bitcoin of this bull run. This never happens. I don't know. I think just today, after the all-time hit, a lot of people, I know my colleagues and all, they're like, "Oh, I heard this Bitcoin thing is hit the new all-time high. Which one should I invest in?" I'm like, look at the question. You are asking me, what should I invest in? The news that you have read is about Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high. So of course, your thing should be Bitcoin because Bitcoin has hit all-time high, not any other crypto asset. So where's the confusion? So they're like, oh, this is what I feel like if I invest in this, I'll get better returns than what I'll get from Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, all the best.
No, that's one more thing now, for Amit specifically and the others who are watching in Hindi. There is something called unit bias. इसका मतलब ये होता है कि you need to have one whole thing of one particular, जो भी क्रिप्टो करेंसी और प्रोडक्ट हो whatever. Suppose आपके पास आधा एप्पल है, it does not make sense, you are not content. तो आपको पूरा चाहिए of one thing, and that is why a lot of people make mistake where they say कि okay, I don't mind having one whole cryptocurrency, but at the same time Bitcoin is out of reach for me. $76,000 का हो चुका है. It is impossible to get to one whole Bitcoin. But that's when you have sats. Okay, one Bitcoin is divided into 100 million sats
Yeah.
of satoshis, where the smallest unit, abhi filhal, I think it's risen up to 1 rupee can get you almost 16 to 17 satoshis. So kuch mahine pehle it came almost 1 rupee was 19 satoshis. So that's the thing. Like if you want to stick to Bitcoin and if you want to measure your wealth, that's one more thing that I'm extremely vocal about. Okay, whatever you do, value your wealth and whatever investments you have in Bitcoin terms. तो इससे क्या होता है, आपको पता चलता है कि what is the currency depreciation over time. एंड आपको कुछ करना नहीं है, डोंट बाय इट इफ यू डोंट वांट, डोंट बाय इट, बट एट द सेम टाइम डोंट इग्नोर इट ऑल टुगेदर. जस्ट आप मेजर करके देख लो दोनों में डिफरेंस क्या है, एंड यू विल सी जैसे जैसे टाइम बढ़ता जाता है, like over the years, you will see the cost of things reduce in Bitcoin terms, whereas in any other fiat currency it will keep increasing. So yeah, the unit bias and the measurement of your wealth in Bitcoin terms is extremely important to know.
100%, and it's one of the greatest property. You know, I did a video I think about a year back, and it's on Uno Coins channel. And this video is Bitcoin the ideal money? And how I came up with this content is because I have done commerce for my plus two, and I remembered these certain points that were taught to us are the characteristics of money. I mugged it up because that was the constant question in all the years question papers. So I remembered that through and through, and I'm like, okay, this is divisible. This is ये सारे जितने पॉइंट्स होते हैं कि इट्स डिविजिबल, इट्स ट्रांसफरेबल, इट्स पोर्टेबल, all of those things. And I'm like, all of these things are in Bitcoin. And durable is where I was like, okay, this is not in fiat. Limited supply, this is not in fiat. That's how I came up with that content. And this clearly signifies that Bitcoin is the ideal money. As for the current times, it is the ideal money. The struggle is to explain how ideal it is because people do not know about these characteristics of money when this should be general knowledge, but it is not. So I mean that is a major thing. So let's see what Trump has to offer to the world after. By the way, I think of Trump as a fake Bitcoiner. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he had no business in starting his own coin, WLFI token. वो सिर्फ publicity stunt थी for a great extent. And I again, like when I keep repeatedly telling कि कितना promises meet होंगे, we don't know. We just know that he's said all these things कि Bitcoin strategic reserve बनेगा, all the Bitcoin will be mined in the US, Ross will be pardoned, and there are several 10 more points. I think around 10 points हैं Bitcoin को लेके. So these things पेपर पे तो सुनने के लिए अच्छा लगता है, but at the end of the day, is it being implied? But when you see Cynthia Lamis, उन्होंने भी yesterday tweet किया था कि we will have a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So there are almost 230 people in the US parliament abhi, uh, who are pro cryptocurrency and who understand the value of owning. And जो भी ट्रम्प के वाइस प्रेसिडेंट हैं, JD Vance I think his name is, so he also owns a major chunk, major नहीं, a considerable amount of Bitcoin, I think 20,000 plus or something, I'm not sure. So when he's surrounded by people who understand Bitcoin and understand the value of number go up along with the other benefits of Bitcoin, then he will be, theek hai, he might consider it. But yeah, having this is very important. And again, coming back to India, tying it back to India, we don't have that representation in the parliament because obviously we have other major issues to deal with. But this is something that needs to be focused on as well because this affects the nation's wealth in the long term. एक एक्सचेंज की रिपोर्ट आई थी फ्रॉम यूएस वेयर दे मेंशन्ड कि यूएस हैज अ लॉट ऑफ स्ट्रेटेजिक रिजर्व्स. उनमें से एक चीज था. So they have cheese stored in their houses. Cheese, oil. They have a petroleum ka ek hai. There's few other things, international currencies, etc. One of them is suggested as Bitcoin. So if they currently start buying Bitcoin now, they, almost 500 coins per day is what they are planning to buy with that bill which Cynthia Lummis has proposed. But in production wise agar aap dekhoge, almost 450 coins are produced daily. And along with this, Michael Saylor jo MicroStrategy ki chairman hai, he's also announced कि next 3 years तक 42 billion का purchase होगा through various credit forms which his company will opt for. And we've covered extensively that in our episode as well. So when you see all of these things, and of course yesterday BlackRock ka jo ETF tha, IBIT, that has crossed $4.1 billion trading volume just yesterday.
That's humongous.
Yeah. And 20 minute mein the trading volume was almost above 1 billion. So पूरे दिन का 4.1 billion था, and that one initial 1 hour was 1 billion. So when you see all of this happening, there's a lot of retail money and institutional money that will pour into Bitcoin, and supply is constant or reducing. And we've seen over the last few months, जब से launch हुआ है ETF products in US, that January से लेके अब तक, Jan 10th को हुआ था launch, 10th or 11th according to US time. Since then, we have seen a sideways move. Initially the spike आया था, I think around from 30k to 70 or 60-ish range. But then there was a constant lull for almost 8 months. And abhi recently, after there was a surety that Trump is winning, that's when you see the massive spike. And kal raat ko, I think it was 76,000. That was the highest all-time high till now. And people, a lot of analysts in US, Bloomberg ki khabar hai ye, where they had mentioned that before he takes office and swearing in ceremony in January, all these analysts are predicting the price to be 100k by then, 100 to 150k. That's December or early Jan. So these are predictions by analysts. We are not telling that it might go there. We are not encouraging any FOMO here, but these are things to be considered and talked about.
Yeah, 100%. Just to give a quick disclaimer, this is no investment advice. So go do your own research. Our job is to just give you a lot of gyan around Bitcoin and what potential it carries, but never get carried away because of the price action. Trust me, there's a very interesting saying. It's called everybody gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. And, interestingly so, very interestingly so, I feel super proud because despite me getting to know Bitcoin back in 2019, 2020, I actually bought my first Bitcoin when it was at 16k after the FTX crash, because that's when I got the money. That's when I started earning. So I was like, I am happy because that's the price I got it at, and a lot of people have gotten it at like all-time high. And then they have of course, there's been a bear run and the price has gotten down significantly, and then they have cried and they've sold out their bitcoins. But the fact is, they will also not get the same bitcoins at that price even now. I mean, there's a possibility you might, but there's no certainty that you will.
Absolutely. 2022 में बहुत लोग, including me, were extremely scared when it crashed to 16,000. And that was major flush out, because you see, you have scams like FTX and Celsius and a couple of others, BlockFi, and all of these scams resulted in a very negative impression on the Bitcoin. But it kept on doing its thing, and people who are knowledgeable and experts, जैसे BlackRock के analysts हो गए, if you look at their reports and if you read some of their reports, they are extremely bullish. And there was a recent conference in one of the Latin American countries where BlackRock के representatives were giving presentation uh, to other financial advisors in, I think it was in Brazil, where they were suggesting a 1 to 5% allocation of one's investment portfolio in Bitcoin. Now, again, Varun is a dear friend and a good Bitcoiner, and he was on our show as well. And he has explained the whole 1% concept, usme bhi. So, for people who are interested, please go check it out. And at the same time, this is extremely important. So, coming back to the point, BlackRock JC company, who have a battery of lawyers and analysts, they have been studying this for a while now. And who have BlackRock के जो CEO हैं, Larry Fink, he was extremely against this मतलब Bitcoin as a concept, but he turned his whole stance एक दो साल में. Same thing with Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor जब आया था like in the space in 2013, if I'm not wrong, he had dismissed. He told कि ठीक है, it's only restricted to online space. उसके लिए ही ठीक है, we don't need it more than that. Its days are numbered. This is exactly what he said. But now 2020 onwards, you see him piling up Bitcoin like a crazy person. And that's what will happen. Like, if you do not understand the value of Bitcoin in the short term and the long term, you will miss out on the price gains to alag baat. You will not get at the lowest price, whatever that is. I can't hear you, Shamil.
My bad. Yeah, I think the struggle that we are facing right now is not going to be a struggle 2 years later, because by that time, sadly so, but price action is going to speak for itself. And, I really wish people learn before that, which I know is not going to happen, because this Diwali, I pledged that I'm going to orange pill 3 people. I went to my friend's place and I told them, like, her father is already into USDT and stuff, so he's already using that for remittances and stuff. I said, why not utilize Bitcoin? The concepts they have and the myths that are there in their mind around Bitcoin are insane. So how do you help that?
No, I mean, that's repeated okay, so I've faced this myself. So with time and with the whole thing, whatever developments are happening in this space, that's the only reason I resorted to starting a podcast and going my way. ठीक है, आपको कोई relevant information इसमें से चाहिए, please go ahead and view it. जो आपको पढ़ना है, you can read this. Otherwise, it's like they will come to you at one point. They will keep asking questions. Till then, you just have to keep talking about the benefits, pros and cons. It does have a few cons, but that's again how you manage it. And how an individual wants to value his time and money is depending on how you gauge the whole pros and cons wala initiative. But at the end of the day, it is extremely essential that people are aware about this, and people know that there is someone who is trustworthy and available in terms of knowledge and resources whom to fall back on. If you are orange pilling your people around you, they know at the end of the day you are the one who is knowledgeable with this, and they will come running to you when the time is right. You do not have to go to them every time. Initially mera bhi urge yahi tha, but after a long time I was like, okay, let it go. Jab people want to learn, they will come.
Yeah, to each its own at the end of the day. Coming back to our Trump card, you know, interestingly so, you mentioned that, I did not have a chance to look at what all has he got to offer and other things, but given the fact that India was very close geopolitically with the US, it still has been. It's not like it wasn't close during the reign of Joe Biden. but it was more so during the reign of Donald Trump because he came to India. Indian Prime Minister went to the US, and I think they're very close friends because they've congratulated each other in the, I don't know what bond they've got. So, do you think that this influence is going to have a positive impact on Indian financial ecosystem as well? Is India going to be influenced by maybe Donald Trump going ahead making US a mining hub, or maybe using Bitcoin in their Federal Reserve?
I'm sure people in the government, like I said in the past, they are very careful. They are observing whatever is happening. US में जो एक mining company है, they're called Marathon. They have increased their presence all over the globe, and their last year I think they started a partnership in UAE. And India, no doubt, has ties with US, good connections and ties with a lot of countries, and they are observing keenly. But again, a lot of ministers, I don't think it's on their agenda or their interest to do anything about Bitcoin for the public good. And one more thing is what I found is, jitna it leans towards a dictatorship, quote unquote dictatorship, that much it is easy to pass a law for or against Bitcoin. आप डेमोक्रेसी में होते हो, देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ कंसेंसस एंड सबके राय लेने होते हैं, then it gets a little challenging, little नहीं, extremely challenging, because you need everyone's opinion and sign off. Okay, do you need a Bitcoin reserve? Do you need to hold Bitcoin as a country or not? These are my two stats, or this is what my understanding is from reading all of the documents. And there's a policy institute in based out of UK. It's called Bitcoin Policy Institute. Uh, so these beg to differ. मतलब people who are extremely powerful, like El Salvador में नायब बुकेले को क्यों बोलते हैं कि he's a dictator? I mean, he came, he adopted this, and बस announce कर दिया एक दिन कि ठीक है, Bitcoin will be a legal tender. Nobody, no consultation required. ठीक है, बस अगर होगा भी तो नाम का होगा. And you can't expect like that from a country like India. India, there is a proper democratic process. You need a lot of people to voice their opinions, challenges, pros, cons, scams. All of that needs to be addressed, post which they may consider and they may act on it. So these, the heads of the states, वो जितने भी क्लोज हों, जितने भी एक दूसरे की तारीफ करें, at the end of it, the machinery will, flow as and when the time proceeds. तो अभी बोलना मुश्किल है. As in, like you said, if US adopts the whole Bitcoin strategic
That
reserve.
itself is an if as of now.
Yeah. So वो होने के बाद, then people in India might be looking at it and they might go forward. So again, coming to that, I have another theory around this, and none of this has been proven or it's not there on any paper. Up to we've only seen developments, but BlackRock has got into a joint venture with one of the leading companies in India, and we all know that company. And इससे क्या होता है? The company has a presence in fuel, your telecom sector, your retail space. They're everywhere, and इन दोनों के बीच में joint venture हुआ है. And what I think is, seeing the success of Bitcoin ETFs in US and the trading volumes in US, they will soon launch a Bitcoin ETF product in India, is what my hot take is. And we don't know कि ऐसा होगा या नहीं. It's just, again, it might happen by next year or the year after, is what I think. But yeah, ये दो जो companies हैं, they've recently got a license, they've got a clearance from SEBI, जो भी है, like to start the whole financial product. The mutual fund aspect of it has come into play. Everything is on paper, उनको sign off मिल चुका है. So how long before we see a Bitcoin ETF product launched through them, because they have the network distribution and the resources and the data to back everything up, is only time will tell. So I think one of the aspects and how Indians will be exposed will be through that route.
And it's going to be so exciting to watch. For me, I'm just, for me, I've been laying low for past few months because I know the people who want to know about it are anyways coming to me because, like I said, before all of these things are very well, and they do drive the awareness on the sides, but the price effect is insane. I remember when I bought Bitcoin at 16, I went back to my hometown, Varanasi, and I was telling like a bunch of people about it. I started working for this company called Uno Coin, and we are into Bitcoin and crypto and stuff. And right now, Bitcoin is at 16. This was the all-time high. Best time to buy it. So they're like, what's going to be the return? I'm like, not a patthar ki lakeer, but I can just give you 100% ka mark, because as like ki 100% is the least I can tell for 16 right now. They're like, oh, okay, whatever. They did not invest at that time. And now they have come running, calling past 5, 6 months. I've been getting so many calls from all those people. What is this? It's again gone to 63 now. You said it's. I told you 2 years back. So, I mean, just even now is a good time. There's no bad time to buy Bitcoin. Gonna have a quick note for our audience over here. Guys, whosoever is watching, whatever questions you might have for our Nihal over here, please feel free to drop them in the comment section, and we're gonna have a very interesting chat about what you think about this entire US election scenario right now. Rahul is here. Hi, Rahul. Rahul is saying hello, guys. Rahul
Hey,
is a
Rahul.
time admirer of yours.
Yeah, he's been a regular to our show as well on Bitcoin Hub, and I mean, kudos to him and everyone who's been supporting that channel, because it's nascent, and having a Bitcoin only channel in India is extremely rare. People talk about crypto, people talk about other Web3 blockchain stuff, and that's how they, and price action, of course, that is what drives a lot of people to it. But अगर जितना भी आप मैक्रो पे जो भी चीजें अफेक्ट कर रही हैं उस पर बात करने जाओ, then people will tune off. And it's okay. I mean, we are not, I mean, me personally, I'm not hungry for any subscriber count. As long as the message is conveyed, as long as you know what's happening around you, I'm good.
Yeah, and that's a very good approach to it, because work speaks for itself, is what at least most people believe in, and I believe in it strongly, that work speaks for itself. And karm karo phal ki chinta mat karo. It's the Gita Gyan that I follow. King Warrior, I don't know. I'm so sorry, not able to pronounce your handle correctly. Is saying that, but Uno Coin has such low volume. Okay. Because we are not selling insane amount of crypto coins, that's why. And we our team is very particular about the research that we are doing before putting or listing any coin. So I know there's a lot of crypto still available, but it's much lesser than the other exchanges. Not going to compare, everybody's right in their own place, but our process of listing a certain token is very extensively crazy. So we do a very thorough research behind it. That's why we got lesser number of coins, to provide better services to our people, and so that they get a chance to choose for themselves and have a look at from the best option point of view things. And I mean, traders, and if you want to do trading, there are definitely options, and you can still do it on Uno Coin has always been known for good trading tools over here. So do try it, let us know what you think, and drop us a mail, feedback at the rate unocoin.com. And how was your experience? Did you like the tools and all those things? And we would love to implement your feedbacks and see how can we serve you better. Okay. Now, Nihal, I remember you sending me a few points just this morning, I believe, and one was about Pakistan looking to make it a legal tender. Is that a possibility? Is that an assumption?
So there was this recent, they had a lot of changes. Their monetary committee in Pakistan, this was reported on Cointelegraph, if I'm not wrong. So they've proposed changes to their digital currency laws, which makes it, they've जो उनका local CBDC है, they want to promote that. So that rupee also will take form. And उसके लिए भी legislations उन्होंने draw and framework draw कर रखा है. And along with that, there is also a mention कि after a few steps are passed, there are 2 steps. I think cabinet है, and उसके बाद में the government body needs to sign off on it. तो ये 2 होने के बाद में there will be legality, or it can be used as a legal tender. Bitcoin can be used as a legal tender, is what the Coin Telegraph report has been published. ये 2 दिन पहले हुआ था, and they had a recent rate cut also, and that also has affected their policy making. So till now, they were not able to make amendments to their monetary policies because they already have loans from IMF. So that is another factor why they carefully plan and tweak their monetary policies also. But yeah, this is open information. Please go and check it out. Jo bhi interested hai ispe, because if country like Pakistan, who is severe, they have severe debt crisis,
Yeah.
and they are adopting and they are making Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as legal tender along with their own CBDC, then that sets a precedent. And coming to that, our own neighbor, Bhutan has been secretly mining Bitcoin for years now, and they have surprisingly more Bitcoin than El Salvador, which had openly declared that they are a Bitcoin only country. I mean, Bitcoin country. ठीक है. So as of yesterday, I had checked their metrics. They had around 12,000 Bitcoin in their stash. They recently sold around 1,000 or 10,000. I'm not sure. Around 10,000 uh, coins for their own purposes, which we don't know. But yeah, these are the two latest developments, on either side of the country. And UAE is again, वहाँ पे एक बड़ा कॉन्फ्रेंस होने वाला है UAE में in December. That is again organized by Bitcoin Magazine, where a lot of energy companies will be participating, and obviously a lot of Bitcoiners will be there as well. So again, this is another point which I want to stress on, is that a lot of energy companies in India, जिनके पास excess है, who are into renewables, who are looking at grid stability, can look at Bitcoin as a solution, a viable solution. Do not look at it as from a financial perspective. Look at it solely to benefit your needs as a company. अगर आपके पास पेट्रोलियम कंपनी है और डिस्टिलरी है, and you have excess methane which is needs to be flared, so you use that energy to you know to have to drive the Bitcoin mining operations. उससे आपका दो बेनिफिट होगा. You are mitigating your pollution, air pollution, and उसको आपको कार्बन क्रेडिट ज़्यादा मिलेंगे. आई डोंट नो हाउ दैट स्कीम वर्क्स इन इंडिया, बट उससे आपके कार्बन क्रेडिट्स बढ़ेंगे, एंड यू आर यूजिंग दैट एनर्जी विच इज either way is going to be wasted to do other things like Bitcoin mining. And us mining, say, if you want to sell it in the open market, like if you want to sell it for at Unocoin, you can do it. So these are some of the options which people do not extensively look at, which I think is extremely sad at this point. Or they might be even doing it, we don't know, a lot of organizations might be doing it stealthily and they haven't come out yet. Because once you have all these major institutions come out in support, okay, we are mining Bitcoin, then you'll see a mad rush to buy or mine Bitcoin. Those are the things that will happen, and that's where the whole game theory plays out, where everyone's watching everyone else's move on what they will do and how they will attract procure Bitcoin. So once that's done, everything will be taken care of automatically.
Yeah, and energy business is one of the most prominent industries in India. I mean, look at every major industrialist, they have got their fair share of operations in the energy business, any which ways. Now, coming back to the Pakistan point, I think I was reading it somewhere. The inflation rate was for 24, last quarter was 26% or something.
Yeah.
That's insane amount of inflation. And I remember one of the spaces I was in, some Pakistani Bitcoiners also joined in, and the inflation rate is so crazy. We buy, people who at least understand inflation buy gold, do not understand Bitcoin, but understand inflation, buy gold and buy assets to hedge against inflation, buy bonds, buy SGBs, and all those things. People in Pakistan are buying cars because the depreciation is lower than the currency losing its value. And when I found that out, I was like, oh, I mean, I have so many points to say right now, but since
Yeah.
you're on a space, Pakistan could have managed so many things so much. better in terms of their finances, and right now they're struggling, and I feel so bad because at the end of the day, it's the bhai bandhu thing only. Like, we're padosis. No matter how much hate the two countries might have for each other, at the end of the day, it is the same culture. It is the same soil. It is the same culture, and it's just so bad to see people struggling over there. I mean, so many people, I believe, right now as well, they get married into Pakistani families get married into Indian families. So that is still happening. Amid all of that, and Bhutan, the smarter one, that is next level. When I found, I think this news came out like last year around December or so
Yeah.
about Bhutan mining bitcoins. And I was like, okay, so smart. And then we look at Nepal. Nepal doesn't even allow Bitcoin. So I don't know what is their theory of against being against crypto and Bitcoin. But then you cannot buy Bitcoins in Nepal. So in Asia itself, right? I mean, there are not many countries who are as progressive as we want them to be. But at the same time, I also feel glad that all of that court case happened in 2017 to 2020, where finally the RBI was, told that this is not the right practice and people are allowed to do as they please in terms of their finances and everything. Now, at least we're more progressive than most of our neighbors. That is a positive sign.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, having all their limitations is something which is a learning lesson for us as a country as well. Like, ठीक है, how are they mismanaging their funds also is a lesson for us. I mean, sure, we won't be in that place, not in the near future or ever, but learning from a person's mistake is always better than, making your own and then making corrections.
Rahul here is asking, is UnoCoin now allowing zero fees BTC withdrawal? Yes, Rahul, UnoCoin now allows zero fee BTC withdrawals. And yeah, you all already know that only few exchange in India allow withdrawals. So just, I'm not gonna say use UnoCoin, but do your own research. And something that is very important in an exchange is that they allow you to take the custody of your crypto or your bitcoins. That is very, very, very essential and very crucial. So take your pick. Okay. Now coming back to the price action, Nihal, we know that after 8, 9, 10 months of halving, we always see a price increase. And would you contribute this ATH to more the US election results or the hype around the US elections, the after supply shock, which is a historical thing that we've anyways seen, or there's some other factors in your mind, maybe global adoption of sorts, ETFs coming in, ETFs slowly taking the market share? What do you think are the main drivers of this ATH now?
So, like you said, there are several factors at play. And the last time we saw a similar pattern emerge was in 2020. Uh, Again, election के time पे वहाँ पे Biden was coming into power. You saw massive price action, or till 2020 November तक. उसके बाद में there was significant uptick. People want surety and market prices that in. So before the results were announced, just before that, we saw a lot of price momentum in Bitcoin, and you saw a new all-time high in the next few hours or minutes. So that's one of the things where okay, everyone is like, okay, we have these policies for the next few years and we are certain of that. इससे ज़्यादा कुछ हो नहीं सकता. If Kamala Harris would have come into power, there would have been a lot of uncertainty, at least in the near term. But eventually it would have been up only. We know that because this is the cyclical pattern. Not saying that it will happen in the future, but so far, the last 3 patterns which we've seen is just before the elections, there is a sort of dip, but uske baad mein it steadily increases over the next few months. Having said this, this is again not a recommendation to buy or do not FOMO into this. Please understand this. Please look at the patterns. Please go back 2016, 2012, 2020. ये तीनों, there is a lot of similarity here. And if it's replicated and if it's superimposed on this year's chart, you see the similar pattern flow. That's why a lot of price predictions, are wildly ranging from, it could be 100,000 to 1 million. You have a lot of people who have given their price predictions. I do not even want to go there. आप ऑनलाइन उसको देख लो, पढ़ लो, बहुत सारे लोगों ने बहुत सारे प्रेडिक्शंस किए हैं. And along with the presidential election, there are other factors, which is global adoption in terms of mining and in terms of ETFs. ETFs are a major driver. जितना भी लोग बोल रहे हैं कि they don't contribute too much, but having education institutions in US adopt it, having pension funds in US adopt it, this is big news. People do not realize how big this is once they, start adopting it themselves. Companies around the world like MicroStrategy, Semler Scientific, Metaplanet, ये सब क्यों कर रहे हैं? Why are they in a rush to hold Bitcoin in their, treasury reserve? Because they see value in it. It has seen appreciation over the last few years, and it has given significant appreciation compared to the depreciation of their local currency. So ये जो माइकल सेलर हैं, he got into this space because he did not see a way out. उन्हें bonds दिखाई दे रहा था, gold दिखाई दे रहा था. He was sitting on excess cash. He did not know what to do. R&D में कितना डालोगे आप within their company? That's why he wanted a channel to put it into, and he found out alternative assets, and he figured out Bitcoin is the best in terms of alternative assets. It's secure. It has an active developer community, and a lot of contribution is happening in terms of um, the protocol being built, the layer 2s and 3s on top of Bitcoin, which is being built. All of this is important. So a culmination of all of these things is what we see on price. And for me personally, jitna bhi main excited hota hu with the price, it's the least exciting bit. There are hundreds of things which push the price up. Those 100 things are more important than that one number go up. But obviously a lot of people are in it only for trading or only for saving their wealth purposes. To each their own, no shade at them. But yeah, these improvements are something to watch out for.
100%, 100%. And there are always factors. At the end of the day, it comes down to, how much do you understand about it, and how much you are ready to understand about it, and how much you're ready to learn about it. Because it's the game about learning. I mean, you and I, we would not have been here if we did not realize why the world needs Bitcoin, and what are the factors. And I find it very, also something, I find it very weird, and I don't know if we have the time to discuss that. Maybe we can take this up sometime on a separate call or something, or in a spaces or something. But I find it very surreal that there are such price driving factors that happen. There's such factors that drive the price down. Because who guessed FTX? But it was a bear run time, and FTX just happened. Now it's the anticipated bull run time, and the US election and all of these factors, like you mentioned, are happening. So it's quite a task for me to comprehend how this is happening in such a cyclical way. So maybe we'll discuss this sometime, because I am a big believer that there are major players at play as well, and they do drive the prices up and down a lot because they have got such foothold in the market. But the best part about Bitcoin is that most of it is at least not in the whale's hand. A good chunk is for sure, but if you look at the overall volume, it's not 100% or even 50% alone in the whale hand. So that makes it very interesting. Probably we'll discuss. Sorry.
Sure. No, I have my two sats for that. I really I understand, like the whole price thing is driven by cyclical patterns, and you have a lot of good actors and bad actors in the space. एंड जैसे आप देख रहे हैं FTX का बोला आपने, अपने ब्लॉक 5 का बोला, सेल्सियस का बोला, ऑल ऑफ दीज क्या था? अल्टीमेटली दे वर सेंट्रलाइज्ड एक्सचेंजेस एंड सेंट्रलाइज्ड प्रोटोकॉल्स, या जो भी DeFi प्लेटफॉर्म्स, जो भी आप whatever fancy term you want to call them. At the end of the day, they told the end user कि हमें तो अपना पैसा दो, हम आपका सेफ रखेंगे, and we will not let anything bad happen to you. At the end of the day, you need to be very mindful of trusting any third party with
Yeah.
your hard-earned money. That's the lesson from all of these 3-4 years jo bhi I've seen. If you are sure about something, if you look at it like from all the lenses, treat everyone with a adversarial mindset, and that's the first thing that you learn in Bitcoin. Okay, don't trust, verify. That's there for a reason. And जो भी है, whatever institution you want to custody your Bitcoin with, do a thorough background check. It's for your own good at the end of the day. And that's the only way, by self custody and learning about self custody, is one can protect themselves from all the bloodbath in, the whole cryptocurrency space.
But
Just
then
trust करोगे blindly कि नहीं, there's been, we've seen the recent exchange, whatever's happening in India. It's terrible. And one of my close friends has been personally affected by it. So it pains to see people are careless with their money. They're like, okay, we don't mind giving you.
their fault, yeah, that is their fault. And no, not just their fault, it's also the exchange that are not allowing withdrawals. That is a big, big,
Yeah,
big problem.
exactly.
The first time I moved down to self custody was when this FTX crash had happened, and I knew about Bitcoin. I was like, leave it be on the exchange. Who cares? Let it be. And then when the FTX thing happened, which nobody had anticipated, I was like, nope. Hard earned money, first salary. It has to be safe. It has to be safe. And that's where some accountability and responsibility comes as well, because you as an individual are supposed to take care of your money. That is the whole idea of Bitcoin, that the control of your money should lie with you and not with the rest of the world, but you. So I mean that is a challenging situation where people do not get withdrawals of their crypto. So, guys, lesson learned from FTX, Celsius, all those things, and the recent one as well. Please, please, please do self custody. We have done like bunch of sessions on self custody. Go watch them. If you want to have more sessions, let us know in the comment section as well. We will be very happy to do more such sessions on self custody, how to do it, even the most basic things about it, so as to help you self custody your bitcoins. Nihal, one last question before we end our session. I know we've got just 3 minutes left, but we're just gonna quickly wrap it up. Also, this is no investment advice, guys. So it's just Nihal and my opinion, and it's open to interpretation. Neither of us are gonna be responsible. Okay. So Nihal, looking at the price action right now and looking at numerous number of predictions that have come down all year long, what do you think is gonna be the New Year closing price?
I've seen a lot of podcasters and active Bitcoiners in the space. There are two people that I closely follow because see their judgments as very sound and analytical. And according to one of them, I would say anywhere between, again, not financial advice, no FOMO causing shit, anywhere between the top can be 400 to 500K is what is prudent and bearish. But like, I don't mind being bearish and underperforming than having insane expectations. But yeah, that's the top for this cycle, is what that particular analyst has told, and people know him in the Bitcoin space as Dr. Bear. And for the longest time, he's got cycles if you look at it. And for anyone who's a hardcore Bitcoiner knows who Dr. Bear is. He's moved on to Nostr. He's not on Twitter anymore. So उनको अगर आप follow करेंगे तो आप उनके analysis is mostly on point in the larger scheme of things. Obviously he doesn't give आजकल क्या होगा in a few months, because he tracks the whole global liquidity. Them and Lynn Alden. Lynn Alden again is not a price predicting person, but at the same time she's very bullish in terms of the price going up in a certain direction and hitting a certain ceiling because of the global liquidity which will follow. And by this Friday we have two major events which are happening. Rate cut ke possibilities hain, and Bitcoin options, Bitcoin spot, Bitcoin options will be open in the US space. So these two things also will drive the price. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
Okay, great. तो एक बार फिर मैं बता देती हूँ, हालांकि हमने बोल दिया है, but this is no financial investment advice. Please do your own research. This question was just for fun. I just want to know what Nihal thinks about the year-end price closing price. Okay. So again, before we go, please do go and follow Nihal's channel called Bitcoin Hub on YouTube. He makes amazing content. You can get a lot of information from there. Do go and watch it. That is my personal favorite Indian Bitcoiner channel. So, yeah, it's a recommendation from me to go and follow his channel. Thank you so much, Nihal, for joining us today, and everybody else who's watching us. It was a great session. We had so much to learn from you today. Hopefully, we're going to do more of this. Till then, let's stack stats, stay humble, and wish for the better all-time high, more and more. Just put down your prediction in the comment. Let's see who wins.
Thanks, Shamu. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.